My 31F mother, 60F, is absolutely humiliating me right before my wedding. How do I approach her? So I'm getting married on October 7th. My mother, as of exactly 8 days ago, has decided that she is moving from the Rocky Mountain West to my East Coast state. That is great, except things have accelerated very quickly in the last few days, from, I've decided I'm moving to New York in 2024, to, I have decided I need to sell my house within the next few weeks. My mom already has a very nice home that she bought at a good price. Her work is completely virtual, so she can work from anywhere, and there's no reason she needs to physically move right now. Somehow, in the past 8 days, she has become fixated on the idea that she can buy real estate in New York sight unseen, and that the Catskills are close enough to me in Brooklyn because the subway runs to the Catskills. Dear reader, it does not. Additionally, my mom has been talking to my soon-to-be-in-laws behind my back about this move, making multiple calls in the last week to members of the family that she's never really spoken to before. Initially, this was non-threatening and even cute, until my in-laws told me that my mom was asking to move into their house in the winter. That's right, my mom's plan is to sell her house without necessarily buying the next house, because her plan A is just to live in my in-laws' house. I should say that this is both more and less ridiculous than it appears, because my soon-to-be in-laws are relatively wealthy. They have a house in the Hamptons that is not used during the winter. Nonetheless, I feel deeply embarrassed that my mom, who doesn't really know my in-laws, is begging them incessantly behind my back to live in their house, when there's absolutely no need for her to put herself in that position in the first place. My mom is not as wealthy as my soon-to-be in-laws, but she still makes about $300K a year, which is a lot for most Americans. I'm both concerned for my mom because she seems almost manic right now and incredibly angry that she's complicating a previously simple relationship with my in-laws. How do I tell my mom she needs to cut this shit out right now, while still conveying that I love her and am excited about her moving closer to me? Not being mean, but has she been checked for dementia? You've described your mother as being almost manic, so I'm wondering if her current behavior is out of the ordinary for her, or if you have dealt with similar poor choices in the past. If this is unusual, are there any possible triggers for her to behave this badly? Just to add to the pile of questions, what have you said to her thus far? Sounds bipolar to me. Has she or anyone in your family ever been diagnosed with that? Tell your in-laws you do not want them to even consider this. Manic does seem the correct word. Does your mom have any history of behavior like this? Maybe not as extreme, but really abrupt, impulsive decision-making? Either way, she needs to be medically evaluated. Immediately. This is not a little annoying situation, this is very bizarre behavior. My 35M wife, 35F, blocks my number regularly. Should I change my reaction? How do I address this situation with my wife? I'm really at a loss on how to address a behavior pattern that has become quite invasive. I have tried direct honesty and she seems unbothered and like it isn't an issue. I have a daughter, 17F, who does cross-country. I work 45 minutes from my house and her meet is 50 minutes the other direction about an hour after I get off work. As you know, cross-country is uneventful and I would barely see her. She is content riding back with her friend and I told her I could make it to her home meets. Mind you, I'm the only one in the house that works, so my plate is pretty full. My wife asked the plans today and I told her that our daughter would ride back with her friend and that we would make it to home meets. She texted, "Bro. You literally just don't want to pick her up." To be fair, I have voiced my discontent with having to pick her up at times because it is an inconvenience from time to time. I will say, I really don't want to do it, and then proceed with what I am obligated to do. She then proceeds with, "You are just selfish. Let's not inconvenience. BC your time matters and he doesn't want to spend it watching his children do stuff." And then, before I could respond, she blocked me. She does this regularly. Anytime there is a disagreement, argument, or something inconvenient. She says something rude, mean, disrespectful and then blocks. I can be rude, but I'm not one to call my wife names or insult her no matter what she does to me. I'm starting to feel like she does this because when she does, normally, I will do what she wants. Like my first instinct was to race down from work to the cross-country meet that is virtually 2 hours away in hopes that I could make it in an hour. I'm absolutely terrible at holding people accountable for the way they treat me. I generally get over things quickly, but the pattern is quite evident. What should I do? Is there a way to handle this properly? Is there something that I can do to make sure it doesn't get to this point? She's childish. Tell her to grow the hell up as you have a 17-year to care for. If she can't grow up, divorce her when the kid hits 18. That's childish behavior on her part. That's not how adults communicate with each other. She's also supposed to be the person you can have open and honest conversations. This is a weird form of control and retaliation. I would be petty and block her back when you know she will call you and give her a taste of her own medicine. Then I would tell her to either grow up or be prepared to attend marital counseling because you are no longer prepared to enable her petty abuses. Just block her number and leave it blocked. You can grow a pair and stand up for yourself. Husband 37 male insinuated I 36 female needed plastic surgery. I, 36 female, have been married to my husband, 37 male, for almost 8 years, been together 12. I had 2 pregnancies in 3 years and well, things aren't exactly the same anywhere. I finally lost the baby weight and I had been feeling pretty good about myself. My husband said something off-handed about getting my boobs fixed. I have never expressed interest in any kind of plastic surgery. I thought about Botox for TMJ, but that's the most body modification I've ever really considered. I asked him what he was talking about and he was like, "Oh, I just thought you'd want them to go back to normal." I was like, I'm almost 40 and breastfed 2 kids. I thought I was actually doing pretty good. He said he thought I had mentioned a mommy makeover, didn't, and apologized and said I was perfect the way I am, yada yada yada. Well, here's the thing, I feel weird being naked around him now. I feel like all he's looking at is my saggy boobs and wishing I looked different. I don't really know how to get over feeling this way. I have talked to him and he said he thought that I wanted that, had talked to him about it, but I definitely didn't. He's apologized any time I've brought it up or he's asked why I didn't want to be intimate. How can I get over this? What are steps I can take to get things back on track, back to normal? Edit to add. I do have a friend who got a BBL, lipo 360, and I was very worried about her because it's the highest mortality rate for elective surgery. After I saw the results I was blown away and really happy for her. I did show my husband how good she looked and was really happy for her. She doesn't look like a Kardashian or anything. I talked to my husband last night and he said that he thought that by showing him the photos of my friend, that I was hinting that I wanted something similar. I'm very happy for my friend, but I'm not interested. Not to toot my own horn, but her body after surgery kind of looks like mine already. I'm still a little about the whole interaction though. My ex suggested some form of yoga and chest exercises to tighten the breasts and lift them up. He also had a habit of making me stand in front of the mirror, put his arms around me, hug me from behind and then put his hands on my boobs to lift them up. He did this a total of 3 times and also once to my butt. Implying that my boobs and butt were saggy. He also once placed his hands on my boobs and said they feel different. Again, I don't know what he was trying to say. But he was repeatedly actively trying to make me feel insecure. I'm a relatively fit 31F. I'm short and have a 34C bust. I have a toned abdomen. I work out regularly, stopped when I got into an abusive relationship with him. He is a 38M with a potbelly. And boobs as big as mine. Go figure. Man, I really wish men understood how much a toll childbirth takes on our bodies. You think we don't want that shit back to how it was before? I sure wish I didn't have the crazy stretch marks on my previous smooth, toned stomach. Woman shrugging medium light skin tone. Things don't just magically go back to how it was before, no matter how much working out you do. But to make up a conversation about a mommy makeover as a subtle way of letting you know he'd like you to get one is some bullshit. I wouldn't want to get naked in front of him either. He's almost 42. He's no spring chicken either. Ew. I think some guys get off on trying to make their partners insecure. I think it's normal that you don't want to be naked around someone that talked that way about your body. You aren't obligated to do it. If he can restrain his mouth long enough, maybe that will change, but in the meantime don't let yourself feel guilty for taking the space you need. That's sure a strange way of saying, I want a new wife. Husband, 43M, does not trust me, 42F, after 23 years. Husband, 43M, and I, 42F, have been together for 23 years, married 6 years. I grew up with strict parents who didn't allow my sisters and I to date before we turned 16. I was also shy, so I don't get my first boyfriend until I was 17 and had left school. That relationship lasted 6 months, and for the next 18 months I went through a period where I was exploring my sexual freedom with multiple people. My husband was a friend at the time and also one of those people, so he knew what I was doing. That all ended the moment he asked for our relationship to become serious. He had come out of a couple of serious relationships with women that cheated on him and still has to this day deep-seated trust issues. This is relevant as my first relationship had ended because we both cheated on each other when I was working away. I know I was not a good person at the time, but I promised I would never end a relationship that way again. Back to my relationship with my husband. He constantly accuses me of cheating or wanting to cheat. He needs to know where I am at all times, has installed security cameras, and I can't have a tradesman attend the house without him being home. You get the idea. He has made comments that our son may not be his because he is fair like me rather than having his brown hair. If I don't have sex with him every couple of days, then he will ask me who I am seeing, as he knows I have a high sex drive given the period before we got together. I have been very loyal, even staying with him as he pushed or caused our friends away. I try and show him how much I love him and accommodate his needs to feel secure, but I am out of ideas of what to do. How do I make my marriage a secure one for my husband so that we can both feel safe and I can have his trust? Too long did not read. How do I build trust when time and loyalty has failed to do so? So let me try to understand this. You once cheated, but not on him. At 17 or 18. Your husband knows and has never trusted you? For 23 years? Why did he marry you in the first place then? Despite what other people have said about going to couples counseling fixing the issue, I am concerned that he has pushed your friends away and isolated you. Has he isolated you from family as well? You can't. This isn't about trust, this is about control. He is emotionally abusive, and all these accusations of cheating and what you are allowed to do and expecting you to have a high sex drive because you did 20 years ago is all about controlling you. You can't behave your way into making an abusive person treat you with respect. You think the accusations are a result of a behavior you are showing. They are not. He may or may not actually think any of that, but either way the point of it is merely to put him into a position of power in the relationship, to keep you feeling unstable. Couples counseling won't fix this either. Going to therapy with someone who is abusive is a bad idea. Frankly, he'd probably accuse you of sleeping with your therapist. I'm sorry your husband is behaving like this, it must be really draining for you. This isn't something for you to fix. This is something he needs to work on. His attachment and control issues are the heart of his behavior, and really the only good option is for him to engage with some therapy. Would he be open to trying couples therapy? That way he may feel that you're supporting him in this as you've said you want to. The security cameras and the like are really not healthy, and whereas I see your deep compassion for him, you need to ask yourself if you're happy living that way. Couples therapy is 100% the way to approach this. How you even married this man is beyond me. But in case you want to remain married, which I can't imagine why, but your choice, so whatever. 1. If he says your son isn't his, tell him he is free to have a DNA test done, and once it's back positive then he better shut up about this topic. 2. Get that man into therapy as he obviously need it. If you want to throw an ultimatum about it, go ahead.